Caddy was a pretty funny episode. I didn't realize though it took this long into the series though for them to introduce the Sue Ellen Mischke character. From what I can remember, I don't think we've seen Sue Ellen Mischke until this episode, which I was surprised. I thought she was introduced a little earlier in the series, of course, before I start binge watching the series, getting doing these reviews. But nevertheless, this is a funny episode. George's crazy shenanigans, going with the flow, with the story about his car keys getting stuck in the car. It's stuck at Yankee Stadium, but it's leading to him getting some positive vibes from Wilhelm and Steinbrenner. Could be leading to a big promotion, get that position in a second. And then thanks to, his plan obviously falling a little bit, and then Jerry and Kramer trying to clean up the mess from it, leads them into hot water as well, as Sue Ellen Mischke was like the bread and butter that was like the main thing that everything focused around this episode. The Brawless Wonder, as she is called. But who is this Sue Ellen Mischke one we're talking about? Well, let's tell the story. So it's called the Caddy because Kramer actually started sneaking into country clubs, as he has hired his own caddy, whose name's Stan the Caddy. Seems like a smart guy, right? Not quite. We'll get to that later. But, so he's, lingering around, and Kramer, who enjoys golf, and, as we've seen in some episodes, like the marine biologist, Kramer's not too good at golf. He stinks, as he said, except for the one he hit that landed right in the blowhole of the whale. A hole in one, back in the marine biologist, of course. So then anyways, Elaine was just walking around town, and she happens to run into her old ex-roommate, Sue Ellen Mischke, a very tall woman who, as she, mentions, never wears a bra. And, it makes her angry, especially if she thinks back to a moment back when they were in college, when she stole, basically Elaine was out on a date with a guy named Tom Costley, which, oddly enough, is the real life name of a guy who Julia Louis-Dreyfus dated in college as well, or high school, one of the two. And then, of course, they have Sue Ellen Mischke get lured away and basically, cause Tom to get distracted and walk off from Elaine with her, because, why? She's braless. Beautiful, and, just basically gives him free access, basically, from what it is implied. So, of course, Sue Ellen wants to invite Elaine to her birthday party, and she's like, nah, I can't make it. She goes, okay, it's okay, you can still buy me a gift. It's like, you haven't seen her in how long? You're expecting her to get you a gift? Like, is that a little much, basically? So Elaine comes up with the idea that she's going to give Sue Ellen a top. Not a top. Getting ahead of myself. Sorry. Not a top. A bra. Get her a bra for her birthday. Which she does, but then she stops by the Peterman's office to thank Elaine, but she's wearing the bra as a top underneath her blazer. And it goes over her head when Elaine says that it's not a top. She's like, oh yeah, I know. So once again, now the braless wonder now with a bra, but, just flipping the script basically, if you know what I mean. Which just drives Elaine absolutely insane. Pause on Sue Ellen Mischke. Let's get to the other story that happened in this episode. So, George was told by Mr. Wilhelm that he's doing a lot of great work lately. And things didn't work out with the assistant to the general manager. And based off of the extra hours they believe George is putting in when he's not, it's because of what's going on with his car. They think that George put in extra hours, and George is basically being highly considered to be promoted to assistant to the general manager. Which, excites George, thinking that's excellent. That's something he would love to do. As he was, of course, teased in the next season, a job with scouting with the Mets. Which, of course, George obviously would like to do because he likes to, Jason Alexander knows nothing about sports, but George Costanza is smart, knows tons about sports. So obviously, that just excites George. So the reason why this is happening is because George got his keys locked in the car by accident. So it's parked at Yankee Stadium. When Steinbrenner shows up first thing in the morning, he sees George's car there. Wilhelm, usually the last one to leave at night, his car's still there. So they think George has put in like 18-hour days. So George is taking advantage of this, and he's like, you know what, I'm going to take advantage of this. And apparently, Susan's parents rebuilt the cabin. The cabin that Mr. Ross said to cherish the cabin. The one that had the Cheever letters hidden inside of. Yeah, that cabin. That got rebuilt. So he decides to take advantage of, the situation and run out to the cabin. Well, while he's out there at the cabin, he remembers that there's some Chinese restaurant like by Yankee Stadium that likes to put these flyers on cars. And he says he realizes that, if the flyers stay on, then they start by getting suspicious that maybe maybe this is not what they think it is. So he calls Jerry and he asks him to go down to Yankee Stadium to remove the flyers from the car. Kramer goes for the ride with Jerry, and while they're doing that, though, they realize the car was pretty dirty. There was a lot of bird poop on it and such. So they thought if Steinbrenner sees that, he may get suspicious also. So, being the good old friend Jerry is, him and Kramer take the car to go get it washed. While they were driving back, though, this is where things blow up. Not knowing who she is, of course, because they never saw her, they just heard about her. This is right after Sue Ellen Mischke left Elaine's office and was wearing the blazer and then was wearing just the bra as a top. Walking down the sidewalk, Jerry and Kramer get distracted by her because, again, they don't know that's her, but also they think she's, a gorgeously attractive woman. And off of distraction, Kramer crashes into a light pole. And the car gets damaged, and of course I think Kramer took the bulk of the injuries as well. Of course, Elaine later finds out that the accident was caused by none other than the distraction from Sue Ellen Mischke. And then Kramer saying how his golf swing is affected, by his injuries. And Elaine comes with the idea to sue her. Because Sue Ellen is, I think, like a owner or something. She works for the Henry Candy bar company or what heck it was. And she's loaded with money. We can sue her for almost like every penny. So what does Kramer do? He sues her. And he also hires Jackie Childs as his attorney, which Phil Morris said he was surprised they brought back Jackie Childs, but I think the reason why they kept bringing him back was because the OJ trial was going on at the time. And Jerry and Larry were very into this OJ trial, like doing these like parodies of the OJ trial. So, they brought him back, even though obviously Jackie Childs is skeptical about doing this because the last time Kramer completely blew it by putting that balm on his burn that the maestro had given him for that coffee burn he got. He was trying to sue the coffee companies. So, of course, other episodes where Jackie appeared after this, he was hesitant. But of course, when he hears all this information and he hears that she, is, works for O'Hara, is like, a big part of the O'Henry candy company or whatnot, then he's like, we're talking business here. He wants a big win on this one. Basically, he thinks, and we all see it too, as an open and shut case. But of course, Kramer doesn't listen to Jackie, he listens to other people, like last time it was the maestro, this time it's somebody else. Of course, before that, though, when Sue Ellen came to Kramer's trying to talk to him, Jerry happened to see her, and of course, realizing who she was, she basically tries to, bribe Jerry of, like, giving him some goodness, basically, if he basically, doesn't, testify against her at the trial, of course, which Kramer finds out. Well, meanwhile, though, let's get back to the car and George. So, George is away having a great old time. He's, like, writing down some trades that he has the ideas for. Like, he wants to try to get Ken Griffey Jr. and Barry Bonds. he didn't mention what his idea was to trade for Griffey, but he mentions, why don't we trade Bernie Williams, outfielder, and the Yankees catcher Jim Leyritz to the Giants for Barry Bonds. He's he's excited, he can't wait for all this. And basically, Susan's like, what if something goes wrong? He's like, nah, nothing's gonna go wrong. But you can't say that, because what happened was Jerry. First off, Kramer and Jerry were able to get into the car because they think the window was open, and Kramer was able to take like one of those like metal string things and pull the lock from that. That's how they got back in the car. Well, after the accident, they parked the car back at Yankee Stadium. Wilhelm sees it, tells Steinbrenner. They search all over Yankee Stadium for George, can't find him. Based off the damage of the car and the blood they found, they assumed George was dead. So Steinbrenner goes to the Costanzas to tell George's parents that George is dead. He tells Wilhelm to start gathering up candidates for the assistant to the general manager position. So now it's all backfiring on George because of his risk he took to go to the cabin. Damn that cabin! Which, by the way, back in the Rye episode, in the last review we did, how why were Mr. and Mrs. Ross okay with riding with Kramer until they realized, and they didn't realize at all that Kramer was the one who burned down their cabin. But anyways, so that's all going on, and then of course Jerry walks back through the door. And this is Jerry's one of the favorite lines. He walks in and the answering machine, Jerry's phone's ringing, the answering machine plays, and it's Frank Costanza going, "Jerry's Frank Costanza, Steinbrenner is here, George is dead, call me back." Hangs up. That's one of Jerry's favorite lines in the series for some reason. It's just, and then Jerry's like, "Oh, this is priceless." So then, not even a second later, George calls him, and Jerry tells him tells him what's going on. And George panics, so he goes, "I'll think of something. I gotta get back to town and fix all this." Which, of course, when Steinbrenner went over to the Costanzas, Estelle is like in tears. She's upset. Frank Costanza's more so yelling at him about how they haven't won a pennant in like 15 years and how they got rid of all these guys for I think Jay Buhner for like Ken Phelps, and then Steinbrenner, well, I kept saying they wanted Ken Phelps, who ended up, I think, not performing well with the Yankees at all. But funny enough, this was in 1996. That year, the Yankees won the pennant, and I think that was during the streak where they won like a World Series in like 4 of the next 5 years. So they did three-peat, I know, around this time, but they won the World Series like 4 of the next 5 years or something like that. It was so yeah. Frank Costanza can kind of calm down now after all that. He said. He should have said, "Well, just give it a few more months. You'll wait and see." But anyway, so then George then shows up at Steinbrenner's office on crutches, all bandaged up, and basically comes up with some excuse how he was so traumatized from the accident. He went and crawled in a hole for a little bit. But then he came back. But then he mentions, "Oh, and while I was stuck in the hole, I thought how we could get Bonds and Griffey to where Steinbrenner says, well, mentioned to the new assistant to the general manager." And George is like, "I didn't get the job." And then he's like, "Well, no, we thought you were dead, so we had to move on." And then George was like, as he's walking out, Steinbrenner starts rambling. He just takes his off the bandages and whatnot and just tosses all to the side, realizes that this was a waste of time. So then we get back to Sue Ellen Mischke. So they go to the trial, and it was an open and shut case. Jerry, though, of course, was, just stuck in the middle of, whether or not to take sides with his friend or to take sides with a woman who basically bribed him with, all the sexual favor in the world. But then since Jerry took Kramer's side, it looked like it was a done deal. But then, of course, Kramer Kramer hires an attorney, yet he puts his fate in someone else's hands. He asks Stan the Caddy, who he's not only using for, golf advice, but life advice. And, of course, he took his idea of, basically Stan called them suing, Sue Ellen Mischke was them going for the green. And now of course, he says currently, he goes, "You're on the green, you're close to the cup." But the way to get to the cup basically is to have her try on the bra to see if it fits. And it's like, why would you do that? Like, why was that even necessary? So, of course, Kramer insisted Jackie, who was disagreeing with it, to have Sue Ellen try on the bra. But then Sue Ellen, which the trivia is saying that it wasn't the same exact bra that Sue Ellen was wearing. So when she was when the car accident happened. But then she tries to put it on the wrong way. It says it doesn't fit. But she's putting it on with a leotard on. So, Jackie even said too, and I'm thinking to myself, why aren't the judges realizing this? That, this accident happened because she wore the bra as a top. She didn't wear the bra over top of her top. So that's kind of like I don't understand that. I get where they're trying to go with that. They were trying to, again, have, Kramer again, take Jackie Childs, who, is a very, good lawyer, but completely throw him out the window and rely on someone else who is not a lawyer, and just have, everything just go up in smokes. Which, of course, happened. They were dead. They got nothing out of this, unfortunately. And then, of course, also, the episode also ends with so earlier in the episode, after Sue Ellen Mischke was walking around Elaine's office at the top, it caught Peterman's eyes, and he was to put that in their catalog. And at the end of the episode, the rest of Elaine's coworkers at the Peterman's office was walking around wearing a bra as a top, just like Sue Ellen Mischke did. Dang you, Sue Ellen Mischke. What an episode, though. Again, of course, with me being a big baseball fan, I love the story that they had with George getting his keys locked in the car, but it was leading him with the great luck to get a promotion. And then, of George going away on a weekend getaway with Susan, going on a getaway with Susan, taking advantage of, his car being there. And for him to clean off the flyer, have Jerry clean up the flyers, then Jerry concerned about the car being dirty, blew up all in smokes. All thanks to the beautiful but braless wonder, Sue Ellen Mischke. I'm pretty sure this is not the last time we've seen Sue. I know she's at least in one more episode. I swore she appeared more often than this. Oh well. We'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, that's the end of disc 2 from season 7. It was a while since I did Seinfeld reviews. Again, May was just a super busy month, but I am trying to play catch up and do 2 discs within the next couple days or whatnot. So we'll continue to get caught with more content on this channel as always. There was a couple trivia facts I want to read off here. Of course, I didn't see this before, but Phil Morris actually did plan on doing a spinoff and star as Jackie Childs, but it was called off. I did mention a thing about the pennant. The thing with the pennant. Of course, whenever Jackie's comment to Sue Ellen about that the bra has to fit like a glove is a reference also to the O.J. Simpson child. I did mention also the O.J. Simpson trial. The name, of course, again, I mentioned before, of the boyfriend, and Elaine says Sue Ellen Mischke stole from her in high school, not college, high school, is Tom Costley, who is the name of a guy that Julia Louis-Dreyfus actually went out in high school in real life, which, as this episode aired, prompted him to reach out to her. Let me see here. What else we got here? Brenda Strong, of course, who plays Sue Ellen Mischke, who's 5'11", by the way, and Julia Louis-Dreyfus also enjoyed the fact that she was she loved playing having to hate this character, and it was so fitting because it's like rival, big and tall. Elaine is short and whatnot, and has like no match, but just she had that rivalry is just like built visually well. But Brenda Strong actually originally auditioned for the role of Wendy in episode back in season 6, The Kiss Hello, but of course lost out to Wendy Malick, and she wasn't the physical therapist that everybody ended up hating in the end, and of the core characters. Let me see here. Anything else? That should be it. But yeah, a couple fun facts there. And yeah, that's the Caddy episode. We'll see you guys in, of course, the beginning of the next 6 episodes, which is on disc 3, which I believe one is actually one other one that stands out to me as one of my personal favorites. But that's a little bit later on in disc 3. But we'll continue on with these Seinfeld reviews as we have about 2.5 seasons left, guys. So we're going to keep rolling and keep going. But yes, great review, of course, with the Caddy. What are your thoughts on the Caddy episode? And your thoughts also, of course, as always, of Sue Ellen Mischke. Make sure to leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. And be sure, as always, to slap a like on the video and subscribe for more content on my channel. Follow me on Twitter as well at DemandAirboy93. Till then, guys, I check it out. I'll see you all later. Have a great rest of your day. Peace out, everybody.